turning into 8-bedroom, 3-bath. And what does that look like from renovation costs? Have you gotten quotes on that and
Yeah,
estimated what it's going to cost you?
absolutely. Yeah. So it's gonna cost 9,000. My guy's gonna do it 9,000, right? I got a quote for 9,000 to do it. I have a field manager who goes out and handles properties. He'll probably do it for
Got it.
cheaper, right? But it
Nice.
depends on if I have him on another job or something. And his drywall is his like expertise, so it'll be super easy. Um, but 9,000 was from another GC or contractor. You were going to put that up for 9,000, right? There's other requirements you want to look at too with the vents and stuff like that. You want to make sure you're not moving too many vents around and all that, because that's going to add to the cost as well. This just happened to work out, right? You got to have your egress points, the 2 egress points as well, right? So all that stuff you want to make sure you're looking at. Don't just do it all, willy-nilly and blind. So so 9,000 for that, and then you got to furnish the rooms, right? You don't have to put like bedding and all that stuff in there, but you have to furnish the rooms, locks on the doors, things like that, little digital keypad, door numbers. It's a dope setup. It looks like a little multifamily, right? And also too, the kicker with this one is an Amazon facility right outside of the, right in the vicinity. So like perfect. I'm like, damn, this is meant to be, right?
Got it.
So, and then they'll be building another one. So amazing. So, with the cost, so it's about 450 to $500, right?
Okay.
I'm
Per
just
room,
saying
right? To furnish. That's
per
what you're
room.
thinking.
Yeah, per room.
Okay. So you're basically on right now 25 grand down. You have 9 grand for the rehab. You have 500 per room. So 5 times 8, that's
500,
$4,000. So
500 is like the safe side. I mean, it's really going to be about 450, but I was like err
okay.
on the side of caution. So yeah, but and then as a closer and as a person who does this like 24/7, right? I don't have any other job. This is it. I always raise a little bit more to make money up front, right? You want an acquisition fee is what I call it. So I want to make money up front. Also, remember this came from a JB guy, so we're gonna, I'll raise like 10K extra, give him, half. I'll take half, so I make some money up front. So add that to the cost as well. Now, Padsplit, you're gonna pay. You can go on the website and you can get a breakdown of per projected utility costs and things like that, and the cost for Padsplit to run it and everything. And somewhere around 15% is what it comes out to with some of the fees, and then their management. I think their management is like 12, 11-ish, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but you can see everything, the whole breakdown. And the pro forma I did, I have the whole breakdown and everything. And I consulted with one of them. This was the first one I actually penciled out, right? So I consulted with them on it and everything, saw how they do it. So now I'm like, I'm good. I can kind of do it myself for all the other ones. So all said and done, negative 500 cash flow turned into, for the first year, 1,600 positive cash flow.
Okay, welcome to the episode of Affordable Housing and Real Estate Investing. Today, I got my guy, Subto Drew Oquendo. He is a nasty closer in the Subto community, one of the leaders. And if you want to learn how to close your deals and your leads and learning how to talk on the phone with a seller, he is your guy. But what's most importantly, and why we have Drew on a podcast today, is because he is so great at closing. But if you think about how you want to become an affordable housing investor, you need deals, you need homes to provide affordable housing. That's why you can figure out whether or not the closer avatar or the role or special power, superpower, whatever you want to call it, is the right fit for you. So without further ado, Drew, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for coming on, dude. So happy to have you, man.
Thanks for
How
having
you doing
me.
today?
Thanks for having me, man. I've been good, man. I really appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's awesome.
Dude, I can't wait to get into the conversation today because I know you're really, really good on the phones, man. So maybe let's just start there. Just tell us a little bit about your background, your bio, like who is Drew and how did you even become a closer?
All right. So closer specifics. I'm not gonna go way, way back, but we're gonna go like to what got me to being a closer, right? Okay. So I started off, well, first of all, I've been investing. I started off as a fix and flipper. I've been investing for, look, I didn't do the math. So what is it? 2014. So I was in the Marine Corps. All right. I was in the Marine Corps. My last year in the Marine Corps, I decided, I was trying to figure out what to do. What am I going to do with my life? I can go keep doing jarhead stuff, or I can go to one of the federal agencies, or I can go out and have a family and try to live that life. And I ended up stumbling across Rich Dad Poor Dad, like most other people, right? And or most other people in this industry. That sparked the interest, and I started looking at wholesaling and all that stuff. And then boom, I was like, oh man, I could do this, right? And at that time, I just happened to buy a house, like a regular, traditional house, the whole boring stuff, right? So the process was super simple to me. It just made sense in my head. So uh, that was it. I just dove right in, and I always joke, say I got commitment issues, right? But it's reverse commitment issues, because I commit when I see something that I want. I don't need to overanalyze it or see too much more of it. I know I want it. So that's what I wanted. So I dove all the way in and studied how to wholesale, which that led me to how to flip, because to be a good wholesaler, I was taught that you had to know what your customers want, which is the fix and flippers primarily. Some landlords, yeah, but primarily fix and flippers. So I learned how to fix and flip, which helped out. And helped out because I sucked at wholesaling, right? I tried to wholesale. Well, I never really gave it a good shot, but I tried to wholesale the first deal. I went out, immediately took action. And again, this is 2014. 2013, like the last quarter is when I was doing my studying, like in the lab, like staying up late, like really studying. And I was like an expert, after that. So took action immediately, did the LLC, all that stuff, got into my first, it was a market deal. It was a foreclosure. That was the big thing back then. It was on market. I learned that it was in North Carolina. So I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, and I went and downloaded the contracts, learned how to do it. I'm super resourceful, right? So learned how to do it, downloaded the contract, filled it out, and gave it to some old, guy on desk time. He was an agent. Obviously wasn't doing much business. Didn't look like he had much in him to do business. So I said, here, I want to submit this offer. I already wrote it up. I just need you to submit it. Made it super easy for him, right? He was like, oh, okay. All right. So he submitted it. I won the offer, right? Numbers, everything were perfect, in my opinion, right?
Nice.
All wholesalers there, right? Nobody wanted to buy that deal. Nobody wanted to buy that deal. And in that town, it was like, I just had a feeling like, they don't want to buy it. I'm a new to the scene. They know that I only got so much time to take it down or do something with it, and it's going to fall back on the market, so they can pick it right up. Right? I've already shown everybody the deal, showed the address, everything. So I'm like, man, forget that. I had too much ego for that, right? So I was networking and all that stuff. I guess this would be the first person I closed, in a sense, right? It was another investor. He was FBI guy, right? He's killing it out there still. Mike Ferraro, that's my guy. Yeah, he's out there in North Carolina, Jacksonville, North Carolina area. But he was the first JV partner I had, actually a capital partner at that point. And I talked to them and pitched him on the deal. He's like, man, it looks like a good deal and all this stuff, right? But he wasn't going to buy it. So I basically pitched him on lending the money on the deal, right? It was easy. He was a really helpful guy, so he kind of helped with that. So I say I closed him, but it really was a combined joint effort. So we did a 60-40 split on it. I ended up making $20K on the deal. So that was my first deal ever. I only put $1,000. Yeah, that was pretty nice. I only put
love
$1,000.
that.
Yeah.
You made money on your first deal. That's what's up, dude. Like,
yeah,
that's not
cool.
A lot of people sometimes when they talk about their first deal, they're losing money. But you, not only did you found a deal, you also raised the private capital for it. And sometimes people think closing is just closing on a seller. They forget how hard it is to raise capital and get people to trust in you and believe in you and to actually fund your deals. So,
absolutely,
dude, amazing.
That is another form of closing, right? I think a closer. I'm glad you brought that point up, because I think a closer can close anybody, right? But there are people. There's some people that there's something that's not clicking in their head that disconnects. It doesn't associate closing this person on this and closing that person on that. So there's people that are really good at closing to raise capital. There's people that are really good on closing, like dispo people. They're really good on closing the end buyer on buying that deal. Then there's people who are closing sellers on, getting, doing a deal with us that makes sense for us to, to actually get into that deal. Right now, I think a closer, like I obviously, I consider myself a closer. I'm good at all that, right? I can do all of it, but I don't have time to do all of it though. But if those people who are closing those individual departments in those sections, if they just associated it, made that little wire connection in their brain, they'd be an awesome closer. And they closing everybody on anything, right? But to finish the story, what really led me into being a good closer now is connecting all the dots from all the training and everything and experiences that I had leading up into this point. Some people like to throw away their experience, right? They like to have a bad experience in a past profession. They like to throw it away, but that's silly, because that's a key ingredient to making you who you are now, right? So if you could connect those dots and those make those associations in your head, you'll be something that no one's ever seen, right? And perfect example is, I have a good friend of mine that I met in the Subto community. He's out here with me. I'm in Orlando. He's in Kissimmee, and he's a developer, right? And he was telling me all the time, he's like, "Hey, man, I just need to take this developer hat off, man. Every time I'm looking at a deal, I just, developer hat's on. I need to take it off." I'm like, "Bro, don't take it off. Leave the developer hat on, because that's what's going to make you unique. That's going to bring a unique perspective to the game, and you're going to do things that none of us have been able to do. I'm not a developer, right? I don't know what you know." And you're going to be able to make connections and deals with people that I probably won't be able to make deals with and close, right? So, he battled with that for a little bit, but he finally did it. And he actually thanked me for it the other day, because, he's getting further in deals, able to do things and using that to his ability. Honestly, in a couple, maybe 6 months to a year, maybe 18 months or so, he'll probably come out with a really dope app that everybody will be using. He's working on it right now, like a lead gen platform. So that's the type of stuff that, I don't have the capability, I don't have the bandwidth to do that stuff. But if he would have just got rid of all those years of hard work in developing, just because he wants to do this business the way I do it, or somebody else does it, he's not being true to himself, right? So to circle back, what made me the closer I am today is everything that I've been through, right? Marine Corps, I went straight into real estate, became a fix and flipper, moved down to Orlando, struggled as an agent, became an agent, struggled as an agent, found Mike Ferry organization, started coaching with Mike Ferry, right? Awesome organization for the traditional real estate agent. Probably, I think I consider them like the Marine Corps of traditional real estate, right? Because he's training killers, right, to go out there, telephone killers, right? And got trained as a expired cold caller, right? Expired agent. And as an expired agent, you got to compete. Honestly, all these other agents, they become listing agents by default, right? No offense, right? But if you want to be a listing agent, they believe the path to be a listing agent is to be a good buyer agent. Has nothing, to my opinion, has nothing to do with it, right? To be a good listing agent, train to be a good listing agent, right?
Understood.
So Mike Ferry trained me to be a good listing agent, trained me to make good, sales calls, trained me to have a schedule. Also, the Marine Corps helped with that, right? Schedule, discipline, commitment, and studying your craft, honing your craft. There's so many people that won't do the work. I used to drive around with my script, before appointments. Guys in the office, we would role play the listing appointment every day at noon, right? Every day. If we're not on the appointment, we're looking for one, right? If we're in the office, we're training, right? So practice. People won't do that. They'll just sit there and wish and hope they can get good. How do you do this? Oh, you just get it naturally, but they don't see the work you do behind closed doors. Like if you saw my office, I have scripts up. I have scripts sitting there. I don't need them, right? But they're there. This is a reminder, like all the work I've put in. Maybe I see something up there. It's like a blanket, I've had it for so long, I don't really need it anymore, but it used to be like a security blanket, right? I could look at it, boom, scripts there, right? Now, what elevated me to the next level is so during that time I was doing agent stuff, doing also investing, right? Bringing that investing mindset to agent activity. buying deals here and there, creative deals. I've always done creative deals like from the beginning. And then, cash deals, obviously flips and stuff. And then finding Pace Morby, Subto
Mm.
Community,
Mm-hmm.
hands down, like killed the game. Best mentorship ever, like all around. I promise you. Like that thing right there just brought everything full circle. Right. As soon as I started hearing Pace, I was like, man, I resonate with what he's saying. Like that's my style right there. The way he's closing and everything.
Yep.
So he taught me how to close, how to take this big abstract concept, right, and for a lack of a better term, dumb it down and help explain it to a seller to where they're no longer a confused mind and they're going to say no, to where they're agreeable and they understand that this is really the best option they have considering it. Right? We don't force these creative terms on people. We just help them
Mm-hmm.
self-discover that this is the best option for them, right? Through conversation,
Absolutely, man.
right?
Absolutely. And Drew, let me pause you right here because I want to make sure I take the time to emphasize the point for people that are listening. You have gone through such a great career or journey, but every single piece of your journey has been just helping you stack your different skill sets. You talked about being in the military. That helped you learn how to plan a schedule, that taught you how to be disciplined. And I think people forget those facts. Same thing how you alluded to your friend who's a developer. That's how you build credibility with someone. It's like, oh, this guy isn't just a one-trick pony. He has done a lot of different things in his life and actually took those learnings and continue applying it forward. So then you became a wholesaler, you became a listing agent, and then you also have done fix and flips. Now, as an investor, I might look to you, Drew, and say, hey, this guy not only has he had wholesaling experience, he knows how to do a fix and flip. So he knows how to run numbers better. At least he's speaking from experience versus just completely brand new newbie. And on top of that, you kept working on improving yourself. And that I think that point is missed by so many. You literally just talked about role playing, talking about reps. You don't just become a natural closer overnight. You work on it, just like how Drew did it. And that's the reason I would want to work with Drew. That's the reason I brought Drew onto this podcast, because people need to learn and listen about what it actually takes to be successful. And so much of it just has to do with reps and repetitions. There's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme in real estate. You got to put in the work. But dude, what a beautiful story for so far, man. And then you found into Pace More, which is even more impressive, because then you said, let me up level myself even more to become a closer. So maybe let's start there. When you found a Subto community, you learn about creative finance, you already learned a little bit about how to close. Like, what types of questions did you ask to make yourself a better closer? Because I'm really interested in this, because sometimes when people don't make improvements or advancements in their life, sometimes they're just not asking the right questions. I'm really curious as to like what kind of questions you were asking so that you could become even a better closer.
That's a really good question, because some people are going to interpret that question differently, right? So there's two ways to go with that question, right? What questions did I ask? Some people are going to think, well, what am I asking the seller, right? A script.
Mm-hmm.
What script are you using? It's not about a script at all, right? It's not about a script at all, right? Honestly, scripts, that's the training wheels, right? You got to take the training wheels off. You got to take them off and become yourself. So the questions you have to ask, you got to go inside, right? You got to go inside and figure out who you are, right? Because there's a internal guidance system that we all have that leads us, right? Pace laid out the blueprint, right? But also there's a little different, unique approach that each of us, give to our or bring to the table when we are talking to a seller, right? That's coming from our own internal guidance system. We have to have permission to give ourselves permission to follow that, right? So there's the salesperson that we think we need to be, and there's a person that we think we are. And so the questions we need to ask ourselves is, how do we merge the two, right, and make it one? And when you do that, that's the freest you'll ever be, right? And now they feel that freedom, right? They feel that confidence. You transfer that over the phone, right? Because I'm doing everything over the phone, right? So you transfer that over the phone, and they feel that. They don't know what it is, just like they feel, commission breath. They feel like, oh, this guy is shady. They feel those things too, right? Because you're feeling it. You're presenting that, right? That's in you. They feel that fear. They sniff it out. So if you don't have any of that in there, And it's not to say you're not it's not, don't confuse that with getting nervous before a call. Sometimes I get jitters and things like that. I call in front of a lot of people sometimes. That's not always the most comfortable thing, but that's why we have bravery, right? There'd be no such thing as bravery if there wasn't a thing called fear, right? It's not an absence of fear. It's just in the face of fear, right? So the questions you ask yourself are just, what do I need to do to be able to do, what you want to do, right? What do I need to do to be able to close this deal? What am I missing, right? What am I? You got to understand it's you, right? So that's really it. Honestly, listen to yourself too. And sometimes it's not about asking the questions, it's about listening to yourself. So a lot of times I say some off the wall stuff on a call, and it's because I'm just going with the flow. I'm feeling the vibe. I get on the phone, I catch a vibe, and the seller and I are vibing, right? And they're feeling it. And it's funny because now if I think back to some of the scripts that were written that I used to follow, there's some words in there that it's like, I can't say that. Like, that feels weird to say, right? Like, sometimes, like, just for example, like, what's the lowest you're willing to take, right? It sounds weird. What's the lowest you're willing to take? But if you have that rapport, meaning you have that credibility, that trust with the seller, you can ask anything, right? Doctors, high paid people, doctors, lawyers, anyone who gets paid a lot, right? Or we think they get paid a lot, right? They ask tough questions, right? Because they're professionals, right? You got to be a professional, right? I get it, the whole friend thing, right? But you be a professional first, right? So you ask the tough questions. I get some guys, some JV partners, they're like, yeah, I don't know how to ask that. Like, bro, just ask it, right? But if you have that rapport, like I said, credibility, authority there on the call, that frame, you're setting a good frame, right? You can ask the questions, and it's not going to be weird, right? You can speak to the death they just had, right? If it comes up, or you can let it pass without being like, oh, that's weird, right? It's not going to be an issue, So it's really
And
just being connected to yourself.
And this is so important. I think you said the questions you ask yourself. It's like you're asking yourself what type of person you are, and that naturally flows into your conversations with all your sellers. Like, sellers can pick up if you're being nervous, if you're not confident. So that's why when you talked about the questions you're asking your sellers and the questions you're asking yourself and how they come together, that's like when you figure out, hey, this is your personality. This is the rapport and the vibe that you express and you portray. And sometimes you might try to mirror the seller to, get them on the same page as you, but you are genuinely having fun. I want to say it sounds like you're having fun on these calls and you're enjoying it, dude. I think it's kind of like me and you having the same call right now on this podcast. We're having fun. We're vibing. We're having fun. I love learning from you, man, because you have such a wealth of experience, this treasure of gems that you're willing to come on to share with the guests. And I'm so appreciative of that, because everyone thinks that there's only one way. There's only one script. There's one master script. If you get it, you're going to do it. But they forget to look inwards and to understand, like, hey, this is how I should just approach this conversation because that fits my personality. And I think that's one of the biggest light bulb moments I had when I talked to people. It's like, hey, not everyone is meant to be an expert at paperwork. Not everyone's meant to be a cold caller. But once you figure out what you're really good at, then you can dig a little bit more in and then work on the reps. Go for it.
Absolutely. One of the things that Pace Morby said that helped me get over that hump was your vibe attracts your tribe, right? It was like he said that in reference to people who are scared to post on social media because they're afraid of like what people might say, right? But when he said that your vibe attracts your tribe, I was like, damn, it resonated with me, right? Because at one point in time, like I come from, we just went over my background and stuff with the military, right? And then being in the Marine Corps is a place where you're not a Marine, 9 to 5, like you're a Marine 24/7, like, so, earrings and stuff like that, the tattoos, contrary to popular belief, like a lot of that stuff was like frowned upon when I was in, right? So you go out in the civilian world, when you're on liberty and everything, on the weekend, you'll get locked down real quick by somebody. A Marine's not going to just let somebody walk by and see that he's a Marine and identify him and he's doing something off, or he's wearing something that he's not supposed to be wearing, like earrings. Like, he's going to check them right out there in front of anybody, right? That's the lifestyle. So you're always watching your back and you're always worried about how you present yourself. All right. So when I got out, And I was, down here in Florida, it's hot as hell down here, right? So I had the sleeve, and I had this limiting belief, man, that, people didn't, want to do business with me because of the way I look, right? So I had to cover that up and be somebody else, right? And somebody was like, bro, why are you wearing that? It's hot as hell. What are you doing? And
Yeah.
I was like, I got these tattoos. He's like, so what? Right. So that was the first time it kind of like let me be free a little bit. And then when Pace said, your vibe attracts your tribe, then it was like, it just kind of clicked. Let me be myself. Right. I don't even wear suits anymore. Right. I think the people who are wearing suits right now, they're trying to impress, they're trying to look a certain way. Most of the people wearing suits right now are broke. Right. Who the hell wants to wear a suit in Florida? Broke as hell. Right. You got on a suit right now. You're probably broke, or you're trying to look more rich than you are. Right. So either way, you're unhappy. Right. I go on appointments like this if I go in person, right? Because my confidence carries further than the way I look, right? And that's why I do a lot of stuff on the phone, so they can't even judge me. Really, I'll be whoever they need me to be on the phone. I'm just acting, right? So, and I know what I'm talking about, right? So going back to your vibe attracts your tribe. If they're not in my tribe, they don't want to vibe with me. Hey, there's plenty out there. I come from abundance. I'm not going to vibe with everybody, right? But the people that I vibe with, we're going to vibe. We're going to have a good time. We're going to get business done. We're going to make money together, right? So I firmly believe in that, and I thank Pace Morby for that.
Absolutely, man. I think that's just such a great way of thinking about it, and not trying to be somebody that you're not, because then people just know you're being fake, right? That's 100%. It. Maybe like you tell us a story. Like, tell us, do you have any good stories of a seller that you closed before, and a story of how you figure out how to close them and how to get them across the finish line? Because sometimes people just miss that point. Just interested in like, hey, any stories you'd be able to share with our listeners today?
That's a good question. I wish I was prepared for that. You get asked a question on the spot and then you're like, oh man, you go blank. But let's see, a good story of me closing someone.
Or we could just talk about the deal first. You know what I'm saying? We could just talk about a deal first, because right, we're on the podcast for affordable housing, and we always want to understand, like, one, tell the story about a deal you closed, because we want to hear about the numbers, right? What was the purchase price? What was the renovation, the scope? How heavy was it? What are you gonna make on cash flow? Because I think, one, we want to know what your exit strategy is, and two, how much can our listeners actually make from a deal on something like that?
Yeah, I got a couple deals to run through, right? Because there's a couple of lessons on it too. So I have on my Instagram, there's some videos. I wish I had more, but I was editing those myself. So, and I like it a certain way because I like it to tell a certain story. So I had some other guys approach me who want to edit it, and it's just like, it looks like everybody else's stuff, but it's just like monologues and stuff. Like they're saying this, but you don't know how effective it was, or you don't know how it hit with the seller. So it's just like, all right, cool, cool, you can talk. So I like it mine to show something, maybe some people like it, some people don't. I don't know, but I like it. So I put it out there. But there's one on there with a guy named Stan, right? Guy, it was $1 million. I think I did a 3-video series, right? And there was it was $1 million house in Winter Garden, and he failed to sell on the market, right? Someone, I think an agent, like pushed him over my way. They just couldn't deal with him, right? So I'm talking with him, doing what I do, right? It's on the Instagram, so you can see it. But this guy, bro, he was like the cheapest of the cheap. Like he went down to like, we talk about nickel and diamond. He was like Spirit Airline and Frontier versus like Delta or something, right? He wanted to, okay, well, if I do this and I don't do that, how much is that going to cost me, right? Okay. If I do this, but you do that, but I don't do this, how much is that going to cost me? I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, come on. So like the message in that one, right? And I closed them, right? The message in that one, it was a fun call because you can be yourself, right? I can vibe with anybody as long as they're okay with me being myself, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna like lean into the way he feels, and this is the part about you got to be yourself, right? You start the conversation. If you can go through the conversation as your salesperson side and your actual true side, and keep that as one, you're gonna rock it all day, right? But if you go in not listening to yourself, right, your subconscious mind, and you just try to be this person you think you need to be, you're gonna fail all the time. right? The more, so it starts with when they say something and you don't lean into it, you don't circle back to it, right? That's strike one, in my opinion, right?
Mm.
Subconscious mind is like, okay, you're not listening. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Happens again. You want to say something and you don't know how to say it. Boom, strike two. Strike three comes, you're out. You're done with that sell. So I didn't let anything slip. If he was nickel and diming me, I'm like, bro, you're counting my pockets. I'm trying to get you as much money as you can get on this sell. I'm trying to maximize your profit, and you're trying to minimize anything I can make to support my family. Like why? Right? So I closed them and
But that's
staying
interesting. Let me pause you there. He seems
Yeah.
like a guy that wants to win on every part of the deal. Am I correct? That's the type of guy he is, because he was going through every single scenario from what it sounds like.
He's a sum zero type of person, right?
Mm.
So he was like, those people are not going to get far in life, right? You may win this battle, but
Mm-hmm.
first of all, nobody makes it out alive, right? So you might win this battle, but you may have some struggles in the future battles you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people you're around, your friends, people you do good to, that karma, comes back to you, right? So don't know where his karma's taking him or whatever. That's on him. He's not in my mind anymore,
Mm-hmm.
other than telling his story. But I closed him. We did a deal, $1 million deal. We were gonna
Was
lease
it a
option his house.
creative finance deal? Okay, lease
Creative
option.
finance
Okay.
deal, yeah. We're gonna lease option his house, sell it. So basically, I was going to partner with him the terms wouldn't have worked for me as an investor, right? So I was going to partner with him. This is another strategy to just try to make money on a deal that we couldn't make money otherwise, right? So while other people are trying to wholesale, right, we're out here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just help them move the deal. You don't have to be an agent for this, right? You just get into a JV agreement with the owner, just like anybody else who owns a house. We get into a JV
Mm-hmm.
agreement. We both have interest in that deal, right? So so I started marketing his deal to sell as a lease option. He wanted, it's $1 million deal. He wanted $200,000 down, and I was supposed to make 6%, right? I was like, whatever, bro. All right, we'll do that. 6% of the 200,000. It's like selling for agents, like selling a $200,000 house, right? So I would have got phone's ringing. Sorry, I would have got was my field manager. I would have got six. I would have got where was that? $6,000, something like that. He threw me off track. $12,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was cool with that, right? So we did that deal. The challenge is he made it so hard for me to sell the house. Like I couldn't even show it. I'm like, bro, what do you want me to do? So we did it for a month, and I'm like, man, I don't even want this thing, right? Like I'm not gonna. It doesn't do me any good sitting on it. And I was actually going to let some agents do some open houses so they can get some buyers in that price range. There's a lot of other wins you can get from it to help other people out and stuff like that. So I end up giving it back to him. He's too much of a pain. And then he comes to me. He finds somebody, right? I'm like, oh, great. He's like, and then here we go with the nickel and dime. How much will it be if you just write up the contract and this and that? I was like, I think I said something. I'll do it for like 1% or something like that. He was like, what? Come on, man. He gave me that whole speech. I'm like, bro, I'm just laughing at
Come
this
on.
point. I'm like, pay me whatever you want to pay me. I'll do the contract, whatever you want to pay me. So I do this. I don't even know what number we agreed upon. I'm gonna tell you the kicker at the end. But I do the contract. It's easy. I just wrote some stuff up.
Yeah.
Basic contract. I didn't really. First of all, you're not paying me. What I want, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
paying me I don't even know what you're gonna pay me at this point, right? Something small, but whatever. So I'm like, here's your contract, whatever. Boom. He's like, thanks. I don't hear nothing from him. He dipped, right? What kind of guy is that? You told me you were gonna pay me for the deal. I
Oh my
do it, and
God.
then you dip and don't do anything. Wow. I hope you don't need me later. I hope that deal works out for you, right? But just goes to show you, it's just funny, a funny experience, right? But the whole point in that whole story is just don't be afraid to stand your ground. Don't be afraid to
Mm-hmm.
lean into uncomfortable situations, because the only way, the only way to overcome that situation is go through it, right? Not
Yes.
around, not over, not under. Just go right through it, right? It's easy. You go through it. A lot of times it's just a smoke screen, right? Don't be afraid to go through it. Now that didn't necessarily end well, but it was a good story, right? But to get into some numbers on a deal, right? So I told that story just to. It was an interesting one. It was a funny one, and people can see it. Like they can actually go to the Instagram and check it out. But to talk some numbers on a deal, we're doing, and then being that this is affordable housing, I think this will be a good one. I'm doing right now,
All right, let's
right?
do it.
Right. So this one is in Ruskin, right? I have a whole cool pro forma layout and all that stuff, but affordable housing is like a serious issue, and in this in this country, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they used to say mobile homes was like the last line of affordable housing, but people are doing more unique, creative things now, like Padsplit is one of them.
Yeah,
Now,
let's hear about that. That'll be
yeah,
cool.
I love the idea, the concept of Padsplit, right? So I one fell through that I had that I was gonna getting under contract, JVing with another wholesaler. They ended up going a different route. They may come back, who knows? But that was in Lakeland, one in Ruskin, and then I own 3 units in Orlando, triplex, makeshift triplex. When it's all said and done, how many? How many? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There'll be 8. There'll be 8 rooms in that one when it's all said and done. It's going to take some time because one tenant's leaving in August, and then the owner had I gave the owner a
Mm-hmm.
lease back, so when he leaves, I'll be able to build that one out. But right now, I had a tenant in the back for that one, so that's going to be the first one that's going to be ready to go for Passplit. So it's just going to be 2 simple units, already ready to go, already clean. I just had to evict the tenant. I actually just ran the story the other day on Instagram because I gave the tenant a 3-day notice, and she like skipped town like quick.
What?
Yeah, I'm so busy. Like with this is not a good thing, right? I'm just so busy. I could use some, assistance and then hiring people and stuff like that. I had a property
Mm-hmm.
manager. She quit, but she's actually the one who put that person in place. The person was a
Mm-hmm.
stripper, right? Not that it ain't
Mm-hmm.
bad with strippers, right? But
Mm-hmm.
juicy story, right? Strippers, we need strippers, right? So she was in the unit, right? 2 bedroom, and she stopped paying. She missed a couple payments, and I just noticed it too late. Before I know it, it's like she owes me $4,000. I'm like, oh shit,
Wow.
yeah, right. That racks up quick. So I'm like, man, I gotta hire the attorney, get her out of there. I contacted her. She said she was gonna make a payment. Boom, she did it, and then we went another month, and then boom, she's delinquent again. Still, because she never caught all the way back up. So hired the attorney. Well, I sent the 3-day notice, then I hired the attorney. I never checked to see if she actually left or anything. She didn't contact me. I tried to call her, nothing. Right. So I went and checked. One of the other tenants told me that she left already. I was like, wow, you should have told me sooner. So I went, saw it. I did the Instagram story. House was like wrecked, left everything. It wasn't any damage, but it was just junky. Like just wow.
Mm.
Like why? Right now she's gonna have an eviction on her record.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy, right? Understandable. Like I'm not. I wouldn't have went that route because you could have just left. Left
Yeah.
peacefully, got your stuff out, and left it in a rentable condition. It would have been a win, right? I should have been on top of everything, collecting the rent. I should have caught it a lot sooner, right? So I take responsibility for that. But she just dipped, no communication. So that I'm turning around and putting in a password. It's going to be $200 a week per room.
So let me summarize for the listeners right here. So you have a triplex. You have 2 units that are empty, and then the 1 unit where you just had to do eviction. That was sort of the makeshift triplex. Is that the same property you're talking about? I want to make
That's
sure
the
we're all
makeshift one.
following.
Yeah, I kind of jumped to that
Okay.
one because it was a little. I was running down the ones that I was doing, and that's the one that's
Okay.
going to be ready the soonest. But that's 2 units. But let's talk real numbers, and because this is going to show you the power of pad split,
Yeah.
right? Or
This is
just
what we're gonna
renting
do.
by the rooms.
Let's go through how'd you got the deal, the purchase price, the renovations, and then what you expect to get for rent and the cash flow.
Yes, yes. So this is a really good one because this is changing the scape of things right now with loan mods and pre-foreclosures, right? A lot of people are like, pre-foreclosures, they're going after that like crazy. A lot of new guys are going after pre-foreclosures like it's the creme de la creme, but there's a lot of work that goes into that, especially if there's a ton of arrears, right? So Ruskin property comes to me through a good JV partner, right? Really good friend out here in Lake Nona, right? And he, I'm the closer, so yeah, quite naturally he's good at lead gen. He wanted me to close the deal, so my team's been following up with this particular person for about a year, right? They've been going through the ringer, not with them, or we haven't been going to the ringer. The seller has, right? There's a company called MV Realty. Are you familiar with that? I don't know if they have that. You're over on in Cali, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego.
So, man, I love San Diego. So I gotta come out there and visit you, man. So, yeah. So MV Realty, right? There's a lot of elements to this one right here. So MV Realty, they some people will argue it's predatory. Some people will argue it's genius, whatever the case is. But during the pandemic, they were going around knocking on doors, offering a few $100 in exchange for a listing agreement for
Oh,
whenever they thought to sell over the next 40 years. So 40-year listing
wow.
agreements. Yeah, crazy,
Wow.
right? Kind of smart, but damn, So apparently it's ironclad, right? The contracts and everything. I guess they haven't pissed off the wrong person with the right connections, right? So this guy, he's become a friend now because the long follow up and everything. And as a closer, I usually don't have time to follow up with everyone, but we hit it off real well. He's a Marine. I used to sell insurance too. That was a part of the journey. That's what led me into the virtual closing stuff, was the insurance, selling through all the states. But he
Mm-hmm.
worked for that same company at a time. I didn't know him. It was a different division, but we had a lot of commonalities and everything. So we're actually, friends now, but and we're doing this deal. But he took the money. He took like 700 and some change from these guys, and in turn they slapped a memorandum on the property, right?
I
Rightfully
see.
so, because they're in an agreement. So basically, that's their protection, and saying, all right, if you try to sell, there's a penalty, right? You owe, if you try to sell without us knowing, it's you got to pay us at least 3% of the purchase price, right? Or the fair market value, right? Whichever one's higher.
Mm-hmm.
If you, and who determine fair market value, right? So they're going to go
Yeah.
which whatever they think is higher. So if you try to, or if you go to sell, we're going to sell it, right? You got to come to us to sell it, at 6%, right? Amazing strategy, and they were getting a lot of people, solving an immediate pain during a pandemic, during a harsh time. That's what kind of makes it a little funky, a little predatory, right? It's during a harsh time to taking advantage of that, right? Government's giving out stimulus checks. These guys are giving out a few $100 for 40-year listing agreements, right? Sounds like a win to the person in that situation. So except until the time they go to sell. However, I mean, I guess he could have just sold and paid what he needed to pay.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
could have worked. Some could argue that, right? But he didn't for whatever reason. I don't know. I have nothing to do with that. So I came in after the fact. This had already happened, and so we got the lead from the JV, from my JV partner, and then I go, close it. He's good. He's sold on going this route, but the challenge is MV had already got into the situation, right? So um, they escalated it and put a lis pending on the property, which means litigation, pending,
Mm.
so they can stop the sale. It's a more harsher stance on stopping the sale. It's like a dead
Got it.
stop, brick wall,
Okay.
right? Not going to go through. So they stopped that sale. It was an off market deal with another shady organization that tried to retrade at the last minute, renegotiate at the last minute, right? As clocks was ticking and stuff like that, as a tactic to get him like 50K lower. So he balked at that. He's like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I think they tried to put a memorandum on it too because of that, and stick their claim on the house. Everybody's getting
Wow.
this guy, right? So he got rid of that memorandum. He still has MV's memorandum on it, and the lis pending, they released it, right? He thought he won though. He thought he had a he's going through foreclosure at the time too, right? So he's 75K in arrears, right? So we didn't, we're not paying. That's like too much of an entry fee to get into, because that's only one element of the entry fee if we're going to go a creative deal. What's important to us on the creative deal is, in most cases, right, is not the overall purchase price. It's more like how we can make money on the cash flow, right? in most cases, that's what we're looking at. That's why we're able to buy more houses than the average investor, right? So he but 75K kind of starts crushing that cash on cash return for just one door, right? That's why these specialized exit strategies that help affordable housing, crisis that we're having, that help other situations like sober living and assisted living facilities. They help out all those organizations, right? If you understand how to connect with those people, you don't have to run it, but if you understand how to connect with those people and you know how to structure these deals, then you guys will make a perfect combination. I'm still trying to meet some sober living people, in our area, in assisted living operators. We can go far together, but Padsplit. So he so on one door, 75K, too much, right? Doesn't make sense because that's, like I said, only one part of the entry fee. There's still other elements to consider. So he's doing a loan mod, right? He's already going through that process. Now, this is the one thing that kind of changing the scape of that investors right now need to kind of consider. These loan mods are kind of jacking up the whole deal. He had like a 2.8 interest rate, 2.8 and some change, right? It turned it into, once it was all said and done, the loan mod this year just got finalized. It is now a 6.5.
Oh,
right?
wow. That's way
his
higher.
Payment, cash flow just vanished, right? There's no cash flow on the deal. Market rent is like market rent is 24 and some change. His principal, interest, taxes, insurance, we call it PITI, is flushed with it, right? It's 2477.
Oh,
so
yeah. It's all gone already.
Money. Yeah, you talk about reserves, property management, forget about it. You talk about maintenance, vacancy, forget about it. Not to mention, this was going to be a hybrid deal, which a hybrid deal, if anyone doesn't know, is a subject to deal and a seller finance deal put together, right? Because his equity on the deal, he owes about 280K on an unpaid balance. His loan balance, 280K. Market value about 380-ish, 385. Before, when he was trying to sell, it was about 4 something. That's whenever, everything was hot and heavy, and it dropped a little bit to 385 when the rates went up. So he lost a little equity, but we agreed on him having about $100,000 of equity. So we're going to pay him 25K to get into the deal, and then $500 a month is what he wanted on his payments, and he was okay with letting that ride out, until it paid out. Right.
Got it. And just for our listeners to make sure they're following, it's like a hybrid deal, a subject to, and a seller finance deal is a combination of the capital structure using to buy the properties, right? Subject to just means Drew in a scenario just taking over the payments for that loan that's already in place. And in this case, it might be the end result of whether the loan mod might be. Plus, the seller becomes the bank for the last 100,000 of equity, because 380 minus 280 is $100,000, just to use round numbers here. And that's what Drew's giving the seller $500 a month for. So just to make sure everyone is following along, that's so it seems like the purchase price was 380, but you're taking over a sub 2 loan for 280 of remaining balance on that loan, and then you're financing the last 100 grand with the seller. So cool. We're there now. How did you make it a deal?
So, well, let me tell you how it's not a deal, right? Because again, to reiterate how horribly so it's not a deal, right?
Oh,
because
yeah,
some
it's
people,
not even close.
right? Because some people will argue like, oh yeah, it's cool, depreciation. There's depreciation buyers out there, right? So you can buy it, you can get into it for 25K and whatever my assignment fee is if I want to wholesale it, right? And then you take depreciation on the overall amount of the purchase price, right? The 385. And then there's the bonus depreciation, all that specialized stuff, right? So you could argue that, try to, but with the seller finance portions on his equity, that's a second lien position on the property, right? So that's there contractually, stuck. So now cash flow is negative 500. It was flush before, but cash flow is now negative 500, right? Who the heck wants to pay be paying $500 to hold the property? Like, maybe
no
some
way.
people do. Yeah, no.
I don't want to lose money. And it's so important that people don't let the tax tail wag the dog, right? Don't buy a home just for the depreciation. Either you might save a lot of money, but in this case, it's not like it's $1 million home. It'd be a whole different situation if that was, and you got like 100 grand of bonus depreciation savings. That's a whole different story. But this is not it. You're losing $500 a month. It better be worth a lot more in savings
Yeah.
than that.
At the end of the day, it's whatever your bank account or pockets can handle, right? Whatever. To each his own, right? But for me, definitely it makes sense. Most people I've kind of, passed it around to definitely didn't make sense. And I'm a buyer, so I'm buying the deal. I was always planning on buying a deal, right? But sometimes I run the deal by some other people to see what they would think, if they would even want it. But nah, and it's embarrassing passing around. I got a reputation, like I'm not gonna pass around a non-cash flowing deal without identifying specifically, hey, this is the value in this deal. You want it? I'm probably just gonna pass to a few people, right? So Padsplit, I get hip to Padsplit, right? So I'm thinking Padsplit. Well, one, I'm still at this point thinking I gotta help this guy out. We're friends now, right? I gotta do something. Now, my backup strategy was to actually partner with him, like what I did with the other guy. Whenever a deal's too tight, I'll partner with the seller and we'll do a JV agreement, and then I will wrap the deal for him. I'll sell it on a wraparound mortgage, and then I will take something off of the down payment, right? So usually I get about 10K off of that. Do the deal, find a buyer, get 10K, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that differ from an agent? It takes a lot more skill, right? And balls, right? Agents don't have either one, right? So most of them don't, right? The thing is, you don't need a license to do that at all. You're laughing like when I talk shit, but it doesn't take a rocket science to do it. It doesn't take license to do it, right? I'm not doing it on the market, right? I can if I want. If it was a higher price point, maybe I would. But doing off market, super easy, right? I get 10K off it, move on, provide for my family, pay my team, whatever, go on to the next deal. So that's what I was thinking I was going to do. So I set up the structure to defer the payments on his 500K for a year, right? For 12 months.
On his subject to loan, or just a seller
on his seller finance, portion,
got it.
right?
Okay.
So we're dealing with now if I'm buying the deal. So let me back up. Let me make sure it's clear. The wrap was the backup strategy, right? But buying it was still something I was trying to figure out how to make it make sense, right? So 12 months of a lot can happen in 12 months, right? War can break out, a pandemic could happen, prices could go sky high, prices could go, all the way to the bottom. Who knows? A lot can happen. We can't sit here and what if it to death, right? I got this saying that like momentum is what gets us through, right? A lot of times you're doing some type of crazy maneuver or something in a sports game or whatever, driving, whatever. It's momentum that actually gets you through it, right? And it's the same thing with these deals. If you just put your head down, run as fast as you can doing deals, don't be stupid, right? But do deals. Don't what if everything to death. You can't, right? But do deals. That momentum is going to open up other opportunities and doors, right? Something else is going to present itself. You got to have that faith. Just keep going. It's going to work out, right? So that's my mindset, right? Yeah, all the time. So that's my mindset, right? So I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm deferring it for 12 months, right? Maybe I can refi, right? Maybe I can do something. Something will happen, right? So 25K down to him. So now I don't have to worry about the 500 a month. And then it's the 2477, which is flush with the rent. Now, if I do something like a lease option or something at this point, I can get some money down, right? The 25, I'm probably not gonna get all the 25K back. I'll have to leave some money in the deal maybe, but maybe I'll get somebody in at a higher rental rate. Maybe not, right? It was just a thought at the time. So then Padsplit, I learned about Padsplit, right? And they've been around for a while, but I they weren't, too prevalent in our area, I guess, at least by word of mouth, but they have properties in the area and they have properties in that area. And the rate is going anywhere from 175 to 200 a door, right?
So what is your plan right now? So you found Padsplit, and Padsplit, just for our listeners that don't know, they are a rent by room model, typically that's suited for your affordable housing, but workforce housing, people that just need a room, they just need to kind of live there temporarily and just need a place and a roof over the head so that they have somewhere to stay while they kind of work in the area. So what was your plan? Were you trying to turn this into what bedroom count was this property, and what are you trying to do with it?
Yeah, good question. So the bedroom count in this property was the original bedroom count, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath.
Got it.
So
Okay. Four
the
bed, two and a half
plan,
bath.
yep, the plan was to turn it into a so with Padsplit, right? You take the non-profitable spaces and like living room, dining room, and
Hmm.
turn it into a bedroom, right? It needs to be
Got
at
it.
least 80 square feet, right? At least 80 square feet of living space for room. Of course, you want to maybe make it 100, make it sizable or nice, but you can add as many. There's requirements, right? If you do 8, if you do, which I want, in this one, I want to do 8, right? I penciled it out for 8 at $175 a week per room, right? Times 4, it should be about 5,600. I don't have my numbers in front of me, but it should be about 5,600 gross, right? So think about that. And let me finish what I was going to say actually. So at 8, I'll have to add an extra refrigerator. So there's requirements that you got to consider with that. That brings more capital to the party, right? And then with that half shower or half bath, I was going to add a shower there too, right? There's space in there. There's a little mud room next to it. Turn it into a shower. So there's a shower downstairs. So 3 showers. And then the rule with that, I'm not an expert on it, right? But the rule with that is one for one bathroom. It's either like 3 or 4. I think 4 is the requirement. 4 doors to one bathroom, but preferred, more comfortable is like 3, right, to 1, something to that effect. Don't be mad, Passplit, if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's all on Passsplit's website, right? So that's what I was going to add the extra shower there. So 3. So we're going to turn it into 8, an 8-3, right?
Got it.
The size
Got it.
is
So you're
there, the room's
taking
there, everything.
just to make sure everyone's following, we're taking a 4 bed, 2.5 bath, turning it into 8 bedroom, 3 bath. And what does that look like from renovation costs? Have you gotten quotes on that and
Yeah,
estimated what it's going to cost you?
absolutely. Yeah. So it's going to cost 9,000. My guy's going to do it 9,000, right? I got a quote for 9,000 to do it. I have a field manager who goes out and handles properties. He'll probably do it for
Got it.
cheaper, right? But it
Nice.
depends on if I have him on another job or something. And his drywall is his like expertise, so it'll be super easy. But 9,000 was from another GC or contractor. You were going to put that up for 9,000, right? There's other requirements you want to look at too with the vents and stuff like that. You want to make sure you're not moving too many vents around and all that, because that's going to add to the cost as well. This just happened to work out, right? You got to have your egress points, the 2 egress points as well, right? So all that stuff you want to make sure you're looking at. Don't just do it all, willy-nilly and blind. So 9,000 for that, and then you got to furnish the rooms, right? You don't have to put like bedding and all that stuff in there, but you have to furnish the rooms, locks on the doors, things like that, little digital keypad, door numbers. It's a dope setup. It looks like a little multifamily, right? And also too, the kicker with this one is an Amazon facility right outside of right in the vicinity. So like perfect. I'm like, damn, this is meant to be, right?
Got it.
So and then they'll be building another one. So amazing. So with the cost, so it's about 450 to $500, right?
Okay.
I'm
Per
just
room,
saying
right? To furnish.
per
That's what you're
room,
thinking.
yeah, per room.
Okay. So you're basically on right now, 25 grand down. You have 9 grand for the rehab. You have 500 per room. So 5 times 8, that's
500,
$4,000. So
500 is like the safe side. I mean, it's really going
mhm.
to be about 450, but I was like err
Okay.
on the side of caution. So yeah, but and then as a closer and as a person who does this like 24/7, right? I don't have any other job. This is it. I always raise a little bit more to make money up front, right? You want an acquisition fee is what I call it. So I want to make money up front. Also, remember this came from a JB guy, so we're gonna, I'll raise like 10K extra, give him, half. I'll take half, so I make some money up front. So add that to the cost as well. Now, Padsplit, you're gonna pay. You can go on the website and you can get a breakdown of per projected utility costs and things like that, and the cost for Padsplit to run it and everything. And somewhere around 15% is what it comes out to with some of the fees, and then their management. I think their management is like 12, 11ish, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but you can see
Mhm.
everything, the whole breakdown. And the pro forma I did, I have the whole breakdown and everything. And I consulted with one of them. This was the first one I actually penciled out, right? So I consulted with them on it and everything, saw how they do it. So now I'm like, I'm good. I can kind of do it myself for all the other ones. So all said and done, negative 500 cash flow turned into, for the first year, 1,600 positive cash flow. That's crazy on affordable housing.
Yeah,
Projected
man.
1,600 a month cash flow from negative 500. Right now, remember that's because I have the delayed payment, right, for the deferred payment for the first 12 months.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
once the 500 kicks in, then we're talking about less $500, so $1,100 roughly. Right now, this is factoring vacancies. This is assuming there's going to be some vacancies and all that stuff. So all that stuff is factored in there. You go on their website, they have calculations and everything. They'll put all that stuff in there for you. It's automatic. So dope opportunity. And I'm telling you, like, I wasn't and I still am not a big fan of Airbnb. I can't stand Airbnb, right? I don't got the patience for it, and I don't like Airbnb personally, right? The platform sucks. Just had a bad experience with them. So, but I have done some Airbnbs. I've been bought out of those deals. I've negotiated them, just been bought out of it. So I made money on that stuff. But again, hate Airbnb. That wasn't going to be my path to wealth, right?
Yeah, but let me pause you right here, because I think just to go wrap up this deal, right? You have taken, again, a deal that was negative 500 to now a deal that might cash flow 1,100 for 12 months, a year, and you divide that
and that's
by
if we
your
don't
all
if we
number.
don't increase. That's if we don't
Yeah,
increase rent over time. That's gonna 1,100 kicks in 12
yeah.
months. Right off rip, it's 16, right? So
You
there's a
bought,
lot of
yeah. It's
pushing them.
genius. People are like, that's completely genius, because now you're deferring and you're giving yourself breathing room to set everything up to get the property running, so like you're not bleeding all that money while you're getting it set up. And all said and done, this is going to be about 25 to 30% cash on cash return, assuming the numbers are what they are, assuming like you don't, something not big doesn't happen. And that's an amazing deal. You turn a negative deal into a 25% deal. And I think that's really how you raise capital, man. Way to go
Well,
on
check
that
this
one,
out.
dude.
Well, here's the thing, because I know people watching, they're like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool, Subto Drew, but I don't have money, right? Me either, right? So we go raise the money. We talk about capital raising, right? Go raise the money. It's a dope deal. Present the deal, right? When you present the deal, I can't stand when wholesalers send these half-ass deals out there. These half-ass, so-called deals out there, because they don't know how to buy deals, right? There's some good wholesalers, right? So I'm not talking about everybody, but the shitty ones, I'm talking about. Excuse my language, right? You're trying to sell this deal. You're trying to make 10K. You're trying to make 15K. You're trying to make a good chunk of change for what? Show me how it's a good deal, please, right? Because I got a lot of stuff going on. I run a full acquisition company, right? Full-time acquisition company. I got stuff going on. We have a JV department. We have a direct to seller department. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got tenants that's not paying me, right? And then you bring this half-ass deal to the table, and I gotta analyze and do rocket science to figure out how it makes money, right? Their defense to that is, yeah, they're gonna well, the end buyer is always going to do their own numbers. Yes, I'm gonna do my own numbers, but I got to see preliminary like phase one analysis. Like, is it worth investing time into this? So show how the deal makes money, please. Don't just say pad split and then think that's gonna set off alarms in my head, right? Or any buyer's head. You got to show them. It's like a thesis paper. You got to put supporting arguments in there, right?
That's
So
so smart. Exactly.
yeah,
And I think
right.
that's just the part that where people forget. Like, they keep thinking like, I don't have money, but when you find a good deal and you show people how you're, so like, Drew, you have
Show.
wholesaling experience, you have fix and flip experience, you know what you're doing, and when you go and present the numbers and show like, this is how I analyze the deal, they believe you. It's not just like, hey, I look at the spreadsheet, like, I don't know what I'm looking at. They're like, Drew has some credibility. Drew knows what he's doing. So that's how you raise capital for this deal. Amazing.
That's how you raise it. So it's not my own money. So I have an infinite return, right? So I'm raising the money.
That's
I'm
true.
paying 12%. I'm paying 12% on that money. 61.5 is the entry fee. So I'm paying 12% interest only payment. I'm happy giving interest only payments on it, right? For 2
Yep.
years. So what is that? 61 or 615 or something like that would be 12% on that. So add that to the net, right? Because that's going to go to the lender.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if the lender wanted 30% of the deal, so I'll bring in a capital partner, right? That's called a capital partner, or a private money partner, a pimp is short, for pimp. I'll bring a pimp on that deal, right? and we'll do that deal.
PMP,
Or
that's what it stands for.
PMP,
That's what he said. Private money partner.
a pimp. Yeah, I have my pimp, have me doing deals. So PMP, I'll give up equity. Look, we're all going to go further together, right? I don't need all the equity. I don't need all the equity on that deal. I don't need all the cash flow. I just need a piece of this pie, a piece of that pie, and that one, and I'm full, right?
Yeah.
And we just
And
keep
that's
doing
how
deals.
people are attracted to you, because you're not greedy. You don't want everything to yourself. You're willing to kind of share the wealth with everybody else. Drew, so we're getting to a point where I definitely want to ask you this question, because I want to make sure everybody's perspective is heard, because part of the whole mission for this podcast is, one, how do we solve for affordable housing? So I'm really interested to hear from your perspective, like, why do you think affordable housing, particularly the lack of supply of affordable housing, is so hard to solve for? We'd love to kind of hear your thoughts and any thoughts you might have for how we might solve this problem.
Ooh, man, why is it so hard to solve for? Wow. It's so hard to solve for because not many people know how to mind their business, right? You wasn't expecting that answer, right? Not many people know how to mind their business, because if everyone minded their own damn business and worked on self-development and furthering themselves, there wouldn't be a need for affordable housing. Everyone would be rich, right? Everyone would make money. Everyone would be, on a path of pursuing their purpose, right? But people don't know how to mind their damn business, and people are always in other people's business. The Roman circus, right? Politics, sports, right? Those are distractions. You got people who know this guy's stats, who's following his passion, right? You know some sports players' stats, but you don't know how to go out there and make some damn money, right? You don't have a house. You don't own a house. You live at home with your mom, right? But you know all this guy's stats and stuff. Where's that getting you in life? Mind your business. That's why we need affordable housing, right? That's the real issue, the root of the problem, right? So now that we have affordable housing crisis, right? Or another contributing factor to affordable housing crisis is greed, right? People are fucking greedy. They're greedy, right? People are greedy. So greed affects everybody, right? It comes in the smallest form, right? I got to check myself sometimes too to not be greedy. And there's a story that comes where I learned that lesson on my first deal, right? Say that for another day. But greed will have you broke. And greed has people living out in the streets, right? Their own greed and the greed of the landlord and everybody trying to make money, right? We can all make money and not be greedy about it. Don't be stupid either. Like, you want to make money just because this might be expensive. This one house might be expensive for this particular person because they didn't mind their business and they didn't follow their passion and purpose. That doesn't necessarily mean you're greedy, right? Go get what you deserve, right? But there's times I have stories for everything, right? But there's times where greed kills people from getting a deal done, and agents especially, right? Wholesalers too, right? There's good agents, there's really good agents, right? There's really great agents. There's really agents that make more money than me, right? More money than a lot of people, $1 million agents, right? And then there are really good wholesalers that are killing it. But then majority of them are both sides are crappy and greedy and unrealistic, and that's what's killing them from making money. They will lose a whole commission check, like that guy Stan, the one I was talking about on that deal, the lease option. They'll look at $1 million opportunity and they're like, no, I should get 30K on that for a commission versus 6% on $200,000, right? 12,000. Take the money and move to the next deal. What's wrong? It stacks up. Come on, man. So
they're wasting all their energy on the wrong topic. Like, they're focused on the wrong problems, and it's almost going back to the first point, like a big loop, man. It's like they're not asking the right questions, man. They're like, they're just like, how do I make the most money from this deal versus how do I turn this person into a lifelong friend and partner, and we go do way more deals together. It's just a whole different way of thinking. And I think that is so cool, man. And I know we're getting to the end of this podcast today, Drew. This has been an amazing conversation. I loved hearing from your your experience, your thought process behind how you approach deals, how you're looking at deals a little differently. I think this is something all of our listeners can learn from. If people need, when people want to reach out to you, or they want to JV with you, or they have a lead that they can't close, how can they get reach out to you, man?
Best way to reach out to me is Instagram. Unfortunately, right, that's the only platform I'm really actively
That's
on.
okay. That's okay.
I'll get better, promise, guys. But like I said, I got a lot going on, so I need help. I just hired a social media manager, so now I'm looking to really pump up
Nice.
Instagram and stuff like that, and then maybe we'll branch out and do more stuff on the other platforms. But I have a Facebook and stuff. But honestly, it'll take me longer to get back to you on that one. But Instagram, hit me up on there. It's in the title there, Subto Drew. There is another Subto Drew. He's a cool guy, awesome. He's killing it as well. He's over in Houston. Is my guy. We talk, we're friends, but mine's is Sub2 with the number 2, right? As you
Got
see
it.
right
So
there.
it's add SUB, the number 2, and then DREW. Find
Yeah.
Drew, DM him, get him to close your leads, and do some deals with this guy, man. Because this guy, one, knows how to close deals, but he can also help raise capital, man. And that's so important. So, Drew, this has been amazing, man. Thank you again for coming on to the show, man, and sharing your knowledge and experience with the folks today. Can't express my appreciation enough, man. Well, this was fun.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun, man. Appreciate it. I got to come see you out in San Diego, though.
Yes,
Sure.
let's do it, man. All right. I'll see you, man.